I, 26, been with my fiancé for 3 years. We both work and we both share rent and other expenses. But my fiancé is currently looking for a new job. He lost his old job 3 months ago. My family lives 30 min away, and although it's been difficult this year, I decided to get my brother, who has a chronic condition and struggled a lot lately and was in the hospital for a few days for anemia, the one thing he's been wanting for some time. I got him an box that cost me $300. He was so happy and I'm glad I was able to cheer him up during those times. My fiancé received a few gifts from his family. But he wasn't happy with any of them. I got him a perfume and he liked it. We were visiting my family and we had dinner with them. My fiancé looked at this box I got for my brother and didn't stop talking about it. My parents noticed. I told him to stop complaining about what he got or didn't get this year. That made them uncomfortable, especially since they've been dealing with my brother's health issues and needed to relax. We got home and my fiancé took something from the closet and left for about an hour. I was asleep when he came back. In the morning I was surprised to find my brother's box in the closet. I woke him and asked him about it. Turned out he dropped me off, drove back to my family's house and exchanged the gift his aunt gave him, a $14 fancy pen, with my brother's box. He said that my brother was happy to exchange gifts. I was so mad. I told him this wasn't for him and he basically took something that is not his. Not to mention a pen for Anne's box, that's ridiculous. He told me that maybe I shouldn't have spent $300 while trying to pay for rent. I told him as long as I can pay rent, that's not a problem. And that he needs to find a job if he thinks my money isn't enough. I called my mom and I found out that they didn't actually exchange gifts. My fiancé pressured my brother into giving him his box. I was livid and so mad I told him to take this box back to my brother, but he said it was between him and my brother, but I insisted. He refused, so I ended up taking it myself. My fiancé argued when I took it and said that I was pressuring him and treating him poorly and have no respect for his feelings. I told him he was wrong to make my brother give him his gift and causing him stress and ruining his joy. I apologized to my brother and my parents, and I felt awful because of how my fiancé behaved. My fiancé isn't talking to me, saying that I have no consideration for his feelings and not understanding how he feels not having money to buy himself the things he likes. I'm surprised because he has never done anything like this before. I get that he's struggling with finding a job, but this is not an excuse. Not the idiot. That's gross, to be honest. Your fiancé is a grown man. Your brother is a teenager struggling with chronic health issues. Fiancé is acting like a brat. He didn't have an issue with you spending $300 on Anne's box, he had an issue with you spending $300 on Anne's box that wasn't for him. He was also deceitful to you, pushed past your brother's boundaries, and displayed a disregard for your whole family just so that he could get what he wanted. Are you reevaluating your imminent marriage yet? Because you probably should. Not the idiot, but I don't get how the heck you could ever even look at him again. He literally stole from your sick teenage brother. If that's not a reason to dump him, then I don't know what is. Do not marry him. Seriously, kick him out now. I don't care what crap he says. He drove back to your parents' home and forced your brother to give that to him. And then complains about you paying all the bills while he's mooching off of you because he lost his job. Kick him out now. There's no forgetting what he did. Not the idiot. He sounds like a narcissist. He believes he should have that gaming system, not your brother, so he bullied a 16-year-old into giving it to him. Behind your back. This is a huge red flag. What happens the next time someone is given a gift he wants and feels he deserves more than the intended recipient? I'm sorry, but is this the kind of guy that you want to bring into your family? Your brother and parents will no longer trust him, let alone like him, and once this gets around to the rest of the family, and you know it will. I, 31, don't like my sister Kate, 37. She treated me like crap as kids, and it got worse as we got into middle and high school. Around that time, she started drinking. And when she was 17 she ran off to live with her party friends. From then to 22 she only called to ask for money. At 22, she fell off the earth and we didn't hear from her until at 25 she came home sobbing, looking strung out. She begged for forgiveness and swore to get clean. We felt bad and took her in. For a year she was better. She got a job and was going to the clinic. One day mom and I were visiting a family friend 8 hours away, and when we got home Kate and all her stuff plus anything of value that wasn't nailed down was gone. My laptop, our jewelry, TVs, DVD players, etc. An hour later, Grandpa called and said his water was shut off. We went to check it out and found the cover by the street side water valve open and the meter inside shut off. Luckily we checked inside before turning it back on because all the copper pipes had been stolen. It was obvious Kate robbed us all and skipped town. We called the cops to report it, but c'est la vie. A year later, our grandpa died, leaving his things to mom. He also left me some money. Sadly, mom was a wreck the next 4 years before she passed of a heart attack. She left everything but $150, which she left to Kate, to me. I was destroyed after. If it weren't for my friends, I don't know what would have happened to me. During all this, Kate only called twice. Once a week after mom died to see if she was left anything. I'll admit I screamed at her, and once a year later to ask for money. I hung up on her. She recently DM''d me and apologized for how she'd acted before and after mom passed. Then she told me she hit rock bottom after our last call and nodded and died for 3 minutes before being revived. She said it motivated her to get clean, stay clean in the years since. She wrote how she wanted to make things right between us and she didn't want to lose her last family member. I understand addiction is terrible, and just because you're an addict it doesn't make you evil or bad. And they deserve second chances too. But that being said, I hate Kate. I can't recall a single good memory with her. They're all bad. This is where I might be the idiot. I wrote her back and told her so. I said I'd send her the money mom left her, but I wanted her out of my life, and as far as I was concerned I was an only child with no remaining blood family, and that she was honestly the worst thing to ever happen to me, and I wouldn't piss on her if she was on fire. I just said everything I'd bottled up for years. My friend said I was too harsh and could regret not trying to make amends. I could be wrong, maybe my anger and grief are clouding my judgment. I know people change, and maybe I should be giving her another chance. So, am I the idiot? When my severely mentally ill mother tried telling me her mental illness absolved her of all her wrongdoing, since she has meds now, I told her, just because you didn't have control over your actions doesn't mean they didn't have real effects on other people. I stand by that now as well. I go with not the idiot, but I also think this is above the pay grade. You should maybe talk to a professional, because dealing with addiction in a family leaves a lot of scars. Some easier to see than others. Hold up. So your sister treated you terribly for your entire childhood, got addicted, and seemed to suddenly be changed, only to steal all your family's valuables soon after. No, she doesn't deserve any courtesy from you whatsoever. Not the idiot. If she wants to change, you can choose if you want to let her back into your life somewhat, although that would be your choice to make, and I wouldn't judge you either way. Given the proximity and time between her change and the robbery, I do wonder if that was her plan in the first place. Not the idiot. Absolutely not the idiot. As harsh as it is to say, the reasoning your sister behaved that way is relevant to an extent. She still not only stole from you and your mom, but stole copper pipes from your grandfather. I've known addicts and they never went that far. Then, to add further insult to an already tragic situation, she calls for her inheritance and calls for money. No. Absolutely not. She does not deserve to be in your life. Me, 26, and my husband, 32, been together for 3 years. I'm 7 months pregnant with our first baby boy, and ever since we revealed the baby gender, my parents have been pressuring us into naming our son after my deceased brother who passed away from infection after fighting cancer for 3 years. His death left both my parents depressed. They had been talking to other families who've been through the same experience, and my mom heard one of the ladies saying that she gave her granddaughter her deceased sister's name, and her mental health had improved because being with her granddaughter felt like her sister was still around. My mom insisted that I name my son after my brother to feel like he was still here and not really gone. She said that he will fill her life with the joy she lost when she lost my brother. Thing is, I've already picked a name that I really like. My husband likes it too. When my mom found out, she got mad at me. She started saying that we need to forget about the name we picked and go with my brother's. She said we could still call our baby whatever, but his official name should be my brother's. She argued with my husband, and we left after she called him selfish. My dad called us last night. He brought up the land that he inherited from my grandfather, that he did nothing with because he didn't have the desire, and offered it in exchange for us to name our son after my brother's name. I was in a state of disbelief. He knew our financial situation, and that rents are getting higher and harder to keep up with, especially with my husband trying to look for a job. The land is worth XXX of money, and my husband is wanting it, and he said yes. But I was mad that he tried to buy the name and I refused. My dad berated me and said that I must hate my brother for insisting on not giving my son his name. Not true, but I'm hurt with his disregard for my and my baby's feeling, and for him to offer money to basically buy my son is beyond awful. Not the idiot. The way your mother is talking about feeling like your brother will still be here if you gave your son your brother's name is unhealthy and creepy. This is your son about to be born, not a replacement son or her emotional support animal. It might not end with just the name. She might expect to have too much involvement in his life and step on so many of your boundaries. She needs therapy to deal with her grief. Your dad's a huge idiot for trying to bribe you with the land, and your husband is being one too. Not the idiot. Her grief is clouding her judgment such that she can't see that she is being selfish. Apart from the fact that you don't want to do, it would place an unfair burden on your child. Regrettably, your brother isn't around, and naming a child after him isn't going to change that. It is beyond appalling that your dad made such an insulting offer. If he were able to do that now, then he was able to do it 8 months ago before you became pregnant. Not the idiot, you have your reasons, and your parents are being very nasty by trying to force you to name your child what they want. It's your child, not theirs. Grief can be hard. I'm sorry you have to go through with this. If I were you, I would tell them this is disturbing you and that you want them in your grandchild's life and that any grandchild they have will hopefully bring them joy. Tell them you haven't forgotten your brother and still love him, but this is a new person and he should be free of any comparisons or expectations placed on him due to his name. Back in 2018, I visited Georgia to see family. I went to church with my grandma to make her happy and got to meet a group of people who later became my friends. Among them was Mark. He was nice and polite, but super religious. I am not at all, and once he expressed interest in me, I politely rejected him. I had a boyfriend and was not interested in any long-distance relationships. In 2019, I visited twice. The first time I found out Mark was talking to some girl in Mexico. He met her through a friend who had gone to her church while in Mexico. Mark tried coming on to me again during this trip, and I again expressed I had a boyfriend. On my second visit that year I got to meet his girlfriend, let's name her Candy. She was visiting, and my first impression was that she was pretty, tall, blonde, super long hair and cute style, but she was iced cold towards me. There was anger in her eyes every time she looked my way. It was strange, but I ignored it because I don't live in Georgia and wouldn't have to deal with them for long. Then in March this year, I visited and found out they were engaged. When I saw her I was shocked. She looks like a photocopy of me. Her hair was now pitch black, exact same haircut as me, and her style had morphed into me. We had very different styles. It was so bad people were mentioning it to me and telling me how creepy it was. Later during a gathering, I found Candy crying in the bathroom. After some trust building she spilled the beans. She said Mark had taken her for a makeover and he had chosen everything for her, that she realized he was trying to change her, but she loved him and ignored it, but when she saw me she couldn't believe her eyes. She also said he had told her that at some point he and I were an item and he had rejected me, but when she asked common friends she was told that wasn't true. She was broken. She said she was poor but had dignity, and I felt awful for her. I returned home and have kept in touch with her. They are no longer together. Then last week he called me and told me he wanted to a chance. He said he knew I was single. He let it slip he knew my address and workplace. I don't share this. I am not active online, and that I was his twin flame, that we were two halves of the same soul. I freaked out and went off on him about Candy and about how creepy he sounded. I said he couldn't love me because he didn't know me and to never contact me again. I don't know what he told our friends, but now they are calling me telling me I'm the idiot because Mark is just in love with me and I am overreacting. I don't think I am. What do you think? Not the idiot. Mark is a freaking creep, man. If any of my other male friends did this, I would go off on them. This is the kind of thing that can send a dude to jail or get a restraining order at least. How to get your work and home address. Red flag. I don't need to mark the others cause you see them. Another comment said document. 100% agree. screenshot every conversation, make dates, etc. I saw on another advice channel though, if you do want to pursue legal action such as a restraining order, get a lawyer, don't go to the police. Not the idiot. I can't say this enough, do what others below have advised and you share the crap out of his messages to you. He has abused Candy, and I genuinely can't believe your friends have broken the friend code and given him, your potential abuser, your personal details. I'll be honest, if I found out who did that, I'd be having a major discussion with them and wouldn't trust them anymore. You keep yourself safe, get the guys at the fire station to check on you every day and show them the messages so they can back you up. Not the idiot. You don't need a reason to reject him or anyone else, which makes your friends idiots for pressuring you. It's fine if you just don't want to date someone. Unfortunately, it sounds like you have a lot of reasons anyway. Mark sounds like an utterly creepy dude. And poor Candy didn't deserve the treatment he gave her. The way he went about confronting you was like he didn't comprehend that you had a choice in saying no, so you had to make no very clear. This happened 2 weeks ago, my 28 fiancé, 26, and I just had a baby boy, and it's been difficult already without her being upset with me after what happened. I met her at a bar I used to hang out with my friends at, we dated for 8 months, and I decided to propose when she told me she was pregnant and wanted to have the baby. We both agreed on getting married after our baby is born. She was introduced to my family who welcomed her and took care of her, and she started spending time with them. I learned that she was engaged to her late fiancé for 4 years, but he got sick and passed away at a young age. She told me she had recurrent dreams about him. I wasn't upset because no one controls what they see in their dreams, but sometimes she mumbles his name and visits his grave on his birthdays and still keeps their rings in our house. When she went into labor, I drove to the hospital to be with her since she expressed to me how terrified she was after talking to her group of moms who had experience with labor and birth. Her labor lasted longer than expected. Her mom arrived when she was taken to the delivery room. She was feeling so much stress and even cried, which made it more difficult. I tried to reassure her and told her to think about her baby and just focus on that. She suddenly started screaming. First she yelled her deceased dad's name, then let go of my hand and started yelling out her deceased fiancé's name and just continued to yell that name at the top of her lungs. I was shocked. I didn't know how to act. I was upset. I get she was feeling stress, but I don't get why she kept calling his name till the point where the nurse wanted to ask me something and used the name my fiancé was calling out to call me, thinking it was my name. I was so embarrassed for having to correct her as she looked confused. I tried to calm my fiancé down, but she continued, so I just walked out and told her mom to go be with her. I felt absolutely awful. I sat outside. I was literally shaking. She gave birth and her mom walked up to me to give me the news. I was happy my son was finally born. I went in to see them both for a short time before he was taken. My fiancé returned home and started berating me for walking out on her like that and told me that what I did was unacceptable. I told her why, but she completely avoided this and tried to say that it didn't matter and that I was being ridiculous while she was feeling pain. We argued about it and she brought up that she called out the names of the 2 most important people in her life, then went into the bedroom, leaving me feeling awful and guilty. She is expecting an apology and wants me to take her to stay at her mom's for a few days since I was making her stressed out. Your fiancé is so wrong. She's projecting some serious guilt onto you, and do not take that crap. She has the unmitigated gall to be upset at you and has taken no responsibility for what she did and said. OP, you need to slow your roll on the wedding. Your fiancé is not over her ex. At best, you are a placeholder. At worst, a donor. You had no way of knowing before the delivery date that she was this damaged. You know now. Tread carefully. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. Close call on walking out of the delivery room, but I'm with you. It's an overwhelming feeling. Under the circumstances, it's understandable that we're pushed over the limit. As for everything else, I'm getting a really bad feeling about this relationship. The fact that she is trying to exercise this much control at this point in the relationship. It's possible that you are being taken for a ride here. I think you should speak to a lawyer now about your rights and responsibilities.